the Englishman switches to the right one.
So 3, 2, 1, start the timer. So we're immediately going to save a minute by going into the menu and just skipping the opening cutscene, because this is how the game's checkpoints work. So we just skip the entire cutscene, which is unfortunate because it has a pretty cool dedication. Basically, he's dedicating this game. Vadia Caballero dedicates this game to his family for having to endure his father. It's kind of sweet, but it also wastes time. So what I'm doing here is called an extended jump. You have about a quarter or a half a second after falling off of a platform to jump again, and it lets you do a longer jump. There are also these little switches which you don't have to pull all the way. And okay, I got one plank. Unfortunately, you can get plankless. Excuse me. Now I'm just literally going to jump over a cutscene trigger by not hitting the right object, and that's going to cause Alejandra, who's the girl, who you saw kind of earlier in a split second, that causes a cutscene with her not to trigger. For those of you wondering, I actually have the two main use buttons bound to scroll up and scroll down, and the second one hasn't really popped up yet, but you'll see what it is in a bit. Later on, we're going to have to backtrack through this area 2 other times, although there is a slight twist to each of them later on. So later on, now I'm going to do another version of the E-jump in order to sort of cut some time over here, in order to grab down this here. And this area starts off a little slow, but it picks up once we get a certain action figure. Her name is Lula. Well, we don't know her actual gender. It's kind of indeterminate, but as I was saying before, you don't have to pull all of that all the way. There is one exception to this rule. Also, you can skip part of that. That's actually a glitch. Anyway, Alejandra is still here, waving to us. I'm right behind you. She also has no collision. Yep, she's a ghost. You're actually not supposed to be within walking distance of Alejandra until like halfway through the game. The voodoo doll on my right is where you collect the hats. After you beat the game once, the voodoo dolls have hats on them and you collect them. I obviously collected them already. So here's the first like minor puzzle. And it is possible to skip this dialogue, but it actually ends up being slower. Is it just me, or am I only hearing audio out of one audio channel? It doesn't matter, but...
No. We've got a few donations. Sorry that a few of these are a bit late. But we've got $4.44 from Eric Blue. We've got an $80 donation from Fuzzy128. $5 donation from Oromit. $50 donation from Noah Kittleson. Thank you very much. Alec Kim donated $5. Russ Peterson donated $100, so thank you very much. Who says, had way too much fun watching this event. Thanks to all the streamers for donating their time and skill. And finally, there's a anonymous $25 donation, so thank you very much for that. Yeah, a lot of these comments were Duck Fist appreciation. Epic commentary, Duck Fist appreciation. So we'll definitely let them know about those. So sorry I couldn't read them out sooner. So you've got some shoes to fill, Englishman. Good luck with the commentary.
Yep, so it's actually technically possible to finish this with just 3 blocks. There's actually an achievement for it, but I don't think my strategy is consistent enough. So for marathon purposes, I'm just doing 4. And it's also to the point where you lose a lot of time if you screw up on a 3 one. Sorry, I've had a cough for the last couple days. Anyway, here's another little time saver. It only saves about a second or 2 using the same checkpoint warp as before. Just saves having to go all the way around, and there's also lots of stuttering. This game likes to stutter because it loads levels. It tries to have seamless transitions by sort of loading within a level, but it doesn't always work. And this game will stutter in certain parts regardless of the machine that you're working on. I mean, the computer I have at home is really bad, and it's still, and on this rig, it's still stuttering in exactly the same places. So anyway, here's the first wheel trick of the run. That saves a significant amount of time, if I can get this. Need I remind you that this game is actually running on Unreal Engine 3 and not on the Mega Man engine, despite what that zip may tell you. That's actually pretty precise. Although if you know the right positioning, you can get that to like 85-90% consistency. So now when I hit the switch, this is supposed to be the first time you hit the switch. So Alejandra is like taunting you by going through the door. But no, we're having none of that. We're just gonna follow her instead. We already solved the puzzle. So we'll go through here and jump into this cutscene to save about a second. So Paper Bag of Shame was next, I think. So during the next cutscene, we'll switch to Paper Bag of Shame. And if the chat wants to see any more particular hats... Oh, the fish bowl? Okay, so fish bowl will come after that. The game actually expects you to have pulled that all the way out, but you don't need to. That's one thing I like about this game's level design. It does a lot of assuming of the player, which ends up being beneficial. So then we're going to go over here and grab onto the ladder. The thing about ladders in this game is that you have to be at the base of the ladder in order to climb it. You cannot climb it in midair. I've lost quite a few runs because I didn't position that quite right in the past. So here we've got a slow-mo section coming up, which will be a perfect opportunity for me to switch hats. And see if I can get the... No, I didn't get the glitch. Sometimes he stands in midair. So I gotta tap W in order to make sure that I start walking at the earliest possible opportunity. So let's switch over to the paper bag. Where is it? There you are. There it is. This next cutscene will be quite funny. All the characters speak in a sort of a gibberish, which is meant to sound like Brazilian Portuguese. So it's a Simlish meant to represent something else. And there we go. Also, I can activate Lula before we even get her. Except the speakers didn't pick up on it. It worked though. I know that much. Yeah, we can't hear anything out of this. Nope. So you can't really hear it now, but everyone talks in that sort of Portuguese gibberish. And the game tries to hide costume changes under cutscenes here, which normally works, except when you're wearing a hat, it becomes very obvious. So here I'm going in this particular direction in order to avoid stuttering the game, which could actually cause ill effects when you're trying to line up that jump and you can fall down, and that loses like 30 seconds. So I'm going to use another checkpoint warp to skip the tutorial that where Lula teaches you how to double jump with her, or it. I'm just going to default with her because it's clear from the symbolism of this game that she is some sort of maternal figure. Oops. There we go. Shame this game actually has great sound design. You got to trust me on this.
Okay, we've got a couple more donations here.
Sure.
Got $30 from Benjamin Sack. He said the donation goes to the donation reader. Thank you very much for that. We also have a $25 donation from Egonomics, who says, sorry for donating so late. I was waiting for the Canadian hat to show up on stream. Put that $25 towards getting chap hyped for Melon Hats. Need that kid to stay healthy.
You should be able to hear Kiko calling out for Lula. That's when you know it's...
Actually, how often can you change hats? Is it possible to just have donations to determine the hats?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Is it possible to have donations to determine the hats? How often can you change it?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Yeah, I can change hats on the fly.
Well, in that case, you've got $25 for melon hats.
For the which?
Melon hats.
Melon hat, okay. I'll switch to melon hats. Gotta think a good time. Oh yeah, for Bearing Shadows, that'll be a good checkpoint for it. So, this is called pipe zipping. You run up along the pipe and your speed increases significantly. Unfortunately, you can't hear it, but every time you hit the Lula button, Kiko, the main character, calls out for Lula. And hopefully, if we could get the audio fixed relatively soon, you'll be hearing a lot more of that. pipe zipping on this surface is a little tricky. You also want to try and jump in between each pipe object because you can get stuck. Same with turning corners here. Sadly, these are the only pipe objects in the game, so it's not a really exploitable trick aside from this one map. You can also sort of trick the game into solving part of the puzzle early here. Am I doing that? And $25 for the melon hat, right?
Yep.
And then you can pipe zip along here.
So if you want to outbid the melon hats, get your wallets open.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate about the speakers, because like I mentioned before, the game has excellent sound work. Where'd it go? There it is. Yeah. Sadly, there is no Canadian hat for Kiko, otherwise I definitely would have chosen that. So, you have seen many different games with invisible walls in this. You've seen people go over invisible walls, around invisible walls. This is one of the only games that I know of where you actually have to go under an invisible wall. And I will explain what that means later. Basically, there's in the puzzle up ahead with the 3 blocks, there's a sequence where the girl Alejandra will take the 3rd block and snatch it away from you. But you can skip that by, basically the trigger for that area is when you use one of the other blocks as a stepping stone to get to the 1st block. And if you do that, if you avoid doing that, then her part of the puzzle never triggers. So there's an invisible wall like over there, and I have to fly under it. I've been practicing this lately, so hopefully I can get this. Yeah, first try.
Nice.
Yeah, that saves about a minute and a half.
You were practicing that for a good while.
Yeah,
a couple
it's
days ago, and
it's something
very
about
hard.
I'm used to having a much crappier frame rate in this area, and that changes the timing a little bit. So coming up is Act 2, which is probably the most broken act in the entire game. It's also the only act where you have Lula from start to finish.
Yeah, chat's typing out shoe hype now, but
Yeah. Okay, shoot. We'll go.
no one's donated
So the
for
game
it,
wants
so-
you to go all the way down here, but screw that. We can just jump over here, and I don't think I lined this up properly. I almost had that. You can avoid having to use Monster's Belly here by sort of sliding in that little area. Coming up is probably not the hardest, the most random trick in the game. Basically, there's a section where you just have to keep feeding Monster coconuts until he falls asleep, and then you use his belly to jump on him. But if I can get this correctly, I will have another collision error with Monster, and if I can get it, you'll see what happens. Thankfully, I can still save a huge amount of time even after I fail it once, but it's more like saving a minute as opposed to 2 minutes. And I can also use Monster to sort of boost me forward, but he only did it once. So far, this has been a pretty average run. I don't expect a world record on this, but I mean, who knows? I hold the current world record of 1 hour, 10 minutes, 56 seconds on this game, and 1:09 is definitely possible. Let's see if I can actually get this. Come on, Monster. No. Okay, so backup plan. It's a very odd trick, this one, and it's something to do with VSync as well, which I've already turned on. If you turn it off, it causes a lot of problems with this game. So I'm setting up my backup plan in order to make sure that if this goes wrong, I don't have to go all the way back up here. So I have to manipulate Monster into going onto all 4s, because this trick only works when he's running. Come on. Run for your supper. There we go. Oh, God, Monster, what are you doing? Monster, please. No, okay. Yeah, I kind of figured this part would troll me here. I'm still gonna. The funny thing is, even I could still save time here. There's also absolutely no way I can world record, because if after the first attempt, I always reset. So this is not gonna be world record anymore. I got it 3rd try though. There, you sort of zip up, and yeah. And if you're doing it the first time, you save 2 minutes. I had to reset there because Monster is supposed to be asleep, but if I try to go over there, he's not asleep, so you have to restart from checkpoint. And this next area is also pretty broken. You throw 2 coconuts over here, and then I'm going to throw a 3rd coconut over in this little section here. That's going to wake Monster up as he's rotating around here. Basically means I don't have to spend time sort of trying to get him to wake up, because This is in his aggro zone already. Alright. Sorry, the previous... They wanted the shoe, right? Okay. Next cutscene, I'll switch to the shoe. And I got an extremely rare boost off a monster all the way over there, so that's a small consolation. So here, I'm not gonna be skipping a cutscene as much as I am delaying it. I'm gonna go around this, which is pretty hard to do on keyboard and mouse, like so, and then get monster up to here. And then Alejandra is gonna go over here and tell me what to do after I've already done it. That's very nice, Alejandra. I don't need to hear that. I'm way ahead of you, girl. And then we'll throw the coconut through here just because we can. And now we're gonna have one of the more complicated E-jumps and one with pretty precise timing, although I do have a backup. There we go. Okay, I just skipped the entire puzzle there. And then I can hit the switch over there. We're gonna do some more checkpoint warping after we cut the scissors over here. So it's gonna warp us all the way back to over where the key is. And yeah, unfortunately this next cutscene isn't really... I gotta see if I can quickly switch over to the boot. I can't really see where I'm going. So, there it is. There we go. Boot hype. Any more donations, Robo, or? Any more donations?
Don't think any.
Oh, guess not. Okay.
We are still accepting donations, so
Okay.
keep the money coming in.
This coming up is the first trick I actually ever found for this game. When it comes to sequence breaking, this game has the mantra similar to Metroid Prime of when in doubt, climb on the scenery. There's a lot of scenery climbing to be done in this game. This is the first trick I ever found for this. So you're supposed to clear the pipe of frogs over here, but you don't need to do that. You could just go over here, slide back, and get over to the switch without having to lure monster over. Now, the trick isn't done technically because there's still a fair amount to be done left. Basically, we have to take out the middle step of this puzzle, which requires a pretty precise coconut throw a little bit later on. And I'm only activating certain parts of the puzzle in a specific order. So I'm going to ignore that switch over there. Instead, I'm just going to hit this one, which will allow me to go over here. And then we're going to activate the switch, which activates the third pipe with the frogs in it. And then we're going to kill the frogs inside. So we're essentially having monster go straight from the first pipe over to the switch, which skips 2 steps of the puzzle. Frogs have very bad RNG when it comes to their AI. They do not like being tossed into the wall. I mean, if you were a frog, you probably... There's a good reason why we're killing the frogs. Frogs are very bad news in this game. Very bad news indeed. It's just a shame you can't hear Kiko calling out for Lula, because that's probably one of the funnier and more annoying parts of the game. So I gotta have a very specific coconut throw over here. And go over here and hit the switch, and then we're just gonna jump straight from the first pipe over to the end of that section of the puzzle. And then this map opens up even further, and we have even more stuff to do.
Shout outs to tired individuals.
Sorry?
Shout outs to tired individuals.
Yeah. Anyway, the rest of this puzzle is as intended, although you only need to throw 1 frog into the pipe over here instead of all 3. But that's more of a quirk in how Monsters AI works. It's not really a sequence break. It's a good thing you don't have to throw all 3, because, like I said, they hop around like mad. They are frogs after all. Just want to make sure you didn't accidentally kill it. That's good. Having failed the skip for deception is also going to change how I approach certain other maps, because I no longer have a world record run at stake at this point. So I'll be showing off some of the fancier stuff. I should still get below estimate though, unless everything goes horribly wrong. And so far, some of the stuff I would normally fail in a 115 run has not gone wrong so far. So I'm gonna I gotta guess like a 112 or a 113. So it's at this point where the game just sort of it just sort of goes a little nuts. You notice it started raining. That's never a good sign, is it? We're about to find out why frogs are so bad in this game.
Are they like gremlins?
Okay. Got a couple of donations when you're ready.
Froggies. Oh no, monster, don't eat the frog. What are you doing? Oh no!
No, that's not food. Stop that.
Oh!
Oh, God.
Okay, so this is an unavoidable throw. He threw me into a good position. That's good. Kiko cannot die, but you can get pretty easily stunlocked by him. So the game expects you to build a bridge of 15 parts up to where the blueberry is, which will cure monster of his frog-induced sickness. However, you only need 9 of them, and a specific 9. And it makes what is quite literally just a walk straight forward into a very complicated jumping puzzle, but it still saves time. So I collected those 5, then I'm going to collect the 4 up here. I said I'm going to collect the 4 up here after hitting the switch, and then we're going to turn up the difficulty, because you're not supposed to be able to get up here this way. I didn't even have to use Lula. That's a lot harder than it looks. I spent quite a bit of time grinding that.
That was very smooth.
And just for fun, we gotta wait until monster is sort of keeling over there. And we can just hit the switch again. And clip inside monster for fun. All right. Any more donations or questions or hat requests from the chat?
So we've got 2 donations. There's an anonymous $25 donation, which just says, thank you for awesome speedruns. So thank you for the donation. We have another $25 from Jack Lee, who says, this is for fish hats or just for RNG manipulation for the Englishman. Either or.
Yeah,
Roro and Tem hype.
Yeah, Jackie Lee is a very frequent visitor of my channel. So this is the second slow-mo section of the game, and it starts to put the symbolism together. I kind of theorized that this game isn't so much about the player figuring out what the symbolism is as much as it is Kiko, because at this point it starts to become really obvious what everything is supposed to mean, but Kiko is kind of blind to it, and so the point of the game is to make him understand what's going on. So I wonder if you can figure out the extremely subtle and nuanced symbolism of this next scene. Also, it's not possible to outrun the chalk here like it is in the first map.
I think chat are figuring out what the frogs represented from the last scene.
Although I think they'd be hard pressed to guess what type of thing it is within its category.
Oh, they're guessing whiskey actually.
That's a good guess. Sure. Is there up or down? Okay. Yeah. I mean, is the actual game audio bleeding? Are they able to hear everything? Or?
Yeah, everything's fine. According to chat, so.
So they could hear Kiko calling for Lula, etc. As it is quite adorable. It's we can't hear it, but I almost instinctively hit my split button because when Lula says it's not your fault, that's one of my splits here. But so this sets up the next premise for the game. Kiko is going on this journey to cure monster of his frog illness, and in order to do that, he needs to find this mystical man called the shaman, who will somehow help monster be cured of his disease. And only Kiko could do this for some reason. This is very much in a dream world. I mean, this is how Kiko copes with his problems, and so he's creating this scenario in his mind based on what he's experienced at home. And as I mentioned before, this is also semi-autobiographical in that this is also how Vander Caballero, the lead designer, dealt with his problems. That he also sort of went into these dream worlds and daydreamed this scenario where he could have where there was some hope for his own father. So this next area has a pretty complicated and a little bit linear house puzzle, but we're going to break it open by, you guessed it, climbing on the scenery. You can drive in this barrel, jump over here, and now we're in the last area for where you would normally be collecting the puzzle pieces. Idea is you build a bridge out of these houses. We also left Monster behind. The first thing you were actually supposed to do was use Monster's belly to get to that switch, but we'll be freeing Monster in a little bit. We're going to basically end up starting with 4 house blocks here instead of 3, which allows us to access the second area to the left a lot earlier than the game intends. And there's also another glitch coming up a little bit. This area, I love that. This is one of my favorite maps of the game. Also, we can't hear it, but the music dynamically shifts every so often. Yeah, sure. Oh, I can sort of hear Lula. Oh, I can hear it on their end. So, we hover with Lula and then tap, and there I just grabbed the handle during the cutscene, which means I can instantly start pulling the houses. And here we go. We're gonna do this. This is gonna get much bigger. This is gonna be like 10, 15 houses strong. Also, because Havoc wasn't built for this kind of stuff, as soon as you hit switches and they start flying, the houses lose all collision. So you can just fly right through them. This actually creates a couple of very interesting shortcuts. It also blinds me to the camera a couple times. This area was pretty bad on the PlayStation 3 version of the game, just because it's huge, it lags a lot, and the camera tended to get stuck on these little blocks. But because I'm using keyboard and mouse, a lot of those problems have gone away. So I said before, we left Monster behind. Well, we're gonna go get him now. Starting from now, we're on a cycle. We're gonna try to get a certain cycle to grab a certain coconut, so that I can save about 5 seconds. If I did this right, I will start climbing. Now, if I did it right, I could have blindly climbed onto that ladder. I had a sort of a rhythm going, but there's really not much you can do in terms of consistently getting that. It's just nice when you get it. Gives you a little more wiggling room when it comes to grabbing the coconut before Monster does.
By the way, the chat is currently spamming Sean, Luna, and Jason memes. Shoutouts to Batman.
And don't forget Rachel.
Oh, and Rachel.
Rachel!
No one's done Rachel yet, but that'll come in a second. We've also got a $25 donation from City Headache, who says, "Thank you so much for including Papo.io in the event. One of my favourite games. It's great what you're all doing. Keep splatting those frogs. From a real English woman." Yeah. Real English.
Take that.
Yeah. Shots fired.
Shots fired, eh?
Wonder shots
Well,
fired.
we don't shoot. We don't shoot really. We just like snide comments fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snark.
Yeah.
So the way that this puzzle works is that once there's no coconuts in his aggro zone anymore, Monster goes off to sleep. That last one we picked up, by the way, was supposed to be one of the very first pieces we picked up. We were intended to lure Monster over with a coconut and hit a switch, but we don't need him. In fact, if you play your cards right, you won't actually. I didn't line summer. If you play your cards right, you actually don't need Monster for any of the puzzles in the game until like halfway through. But unfortunately, that streak was kind of ruined. Okay, yeah, this is not working out as I intended. Am I missing any? Oh, yeah, I missed this in practice as well. Oh dear, this is not gonna bode well. Okay, I keep missing this one for some reason, or maybe it's I hit the switch for it. It's just sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes when I was playing on this machine, it doesn't like it when I. Oh, I'm missing all 3 of these. How did I miss them? I could have sworn I got those already. This is what happens when I try to commentate over stuff, and yeah. Oops. Well, this is going on the blooper reel. Yeah, normally this is one of the tougher parts of the game in terms of routing it and execution. I just completely forgot about the last 3 blocks. So yeah, I'm guessing this could be closer to 115 now. I should have reset all the way back. If this were any percent run, I would have reset all the way back at Deception at the beginning of Act 2. Yeah, I'm just double checking to make sure those haven't magically gone back again. And there we go. Yeah, Kiko can also sometimes get stuck on that barrier. This bridge was obviously meant for WASD, or sorry, it was meant for joystick, not WASD. So coming up is a little ball and cup mini game. In our chat, we like to play a game where we guess where the keys are going to land.
They'll probably guess after it starts.
Yeah, we have to guess. We have to guess. My guess currently is going to be left, center. chat wants to guess as well. Let's see.